You're looking good. Jonathan just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles.
Today we're talking about turtles, and not just any kind. We're talking about
Ninja Mutant Turtle teenagers.
Yeah, whatever the hell she said. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been around for a while, but not quite as long as some other spandex-wearing superhero icons. They're a bit of a weird case. Not Marvel, not DC, just four radioactive reptiles living rent-free in the sewers of pop culture. And today I am ranking every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie from worst to best. So, let's get into it. Spoilers ahead for all the Turtle movies coming up. And now, number 7. I didn't think any movie was going to be able to top the shitty, stupid Michael Bay Turtle movies, but sadly, I was wrong. It brings me no joy to crown Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 from 1993 as our last place champion. It's just bad. Bad writing, bad plot, bad special effects. I think they spent most of the budget recreating feudal Japan, and now we don't even get to see Splinter above the waist. Props this movie for trying something different though. The first two 90s movies were kind of the same story twice, same villain, same structure. This one goes full sci-fi and sends the turtles back to feudal Japan with a magic scepter. On paper, not a bad idea. In execution, a little rough. And if you haven't seen this movie already, I don't really recommend watching it. To summarize things, there's a plot about a rebellion in feudal Japan. This one guy who's a prince of the opposing king and also fucking the rebellion leader, he gets transported back to modern day turtle world while April goes back in time. The turtles then follow after April and they do all their typical turtle shenanigans and help out with the rebellion. And oh, there's also this random subplot about a bunch of white dudes trying to sell guns to the shogun or some shit. Which reminds me, Blue-Eyed Samurai, who said you could steal this from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3? Anyway, the major problems here are the same ones that drag down a lot of the other Ninja Turtle movies. It's written for a younger audience.
It's Wet Willy time, Mo. What 'em?
The humor's flat, and when it is funny, it's probably by accident. The Turtles don't have any sort of arc or learn any lessons. The plot just kind of happens to them. Also, April just found this fucking scepter in like a pawn shop. The costumes are also a big downgrade too. I don't know what happened to the original suits, but every turtle just looks worse. They're all the same height, the same build, telling the same jokes, covered in these weird fucking spots, and somehow Raph looks like the smallest one, which is like double what the fuck. On the bright side, Casey Jones is back, and yeah, they kind of deleted him from the second movie, but he shows up here mostly to babysit some time-displaced samurai, and honestly, those scenes are some of the few unironically funny parts of the movie. That's all I really have to say about this one. I'll give it a 3 out of 10. Now let's talk about Michael Beyblade and his turtle flicks. And now, number 6. The 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot is a movie. And that's about the nicest thing I can say about it. There's a lot of shit here I don't like. The only reason why I ranked it above Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 is because I think the action's a little bit better. And you know, Megan Fox is in it, and she's a really good actress. Surprisingly for me at least, Michael didn't actually direct this. It was this dude. And even though it very much has the exact same feeling as Transformers, even scenes of cars driving away side by side looks very much like fucking Autobots rolling out. The turtles themselves have been upgraded from charming rubbery puppets to 9-foot tall, 500-pound slimy CGI monsters. And how the fuck are these walking turtle tanks strolling around in the middle of one of the most technically surveilled cities in the world and not being seen? They legitimately fight Shredder at the top of a fucking skyscraper in downtown Manhattan. At midnight? No, at like lunchtime on a Tuesday. And no matter how much ninjaing you're doing, half the city would still see you fighting CGI Samurai Megatron. And then in the next movie, their existence is still a secret. No one knows about them? How? I'm supposed to believe no one got any of this on camera? Splinter is also in this one, and he is no longer the wise, old, moral center of the group who only fights when necessary. He is now a fucking dickhead that uses fear and kung fu beatings to teach his 19-year-old turtle children lessons. Kind of like with Yoda, I like Splinter when he teaches his rowdy teenage sons the value of patience, how to bring out their inner strengths. He's kind, soft-hearted, kinda goofy.
I have always liked Kawabunga.
It's kind of the same problem I have with Yoda doing backflips. When your calm, mystical teacher starts drop-kicking people, something's gone wrong. The pacing in this movie is kinda slow at times. Over half this movie is just a retelling of the origin story, with April's dad now being the creator of the Turtles. And we don't even see our superheroes till the 20-minute mark of the movie. I don't really love the April plot in this movie, or the fact she took care of them as a kid, and just so happened to run into them as an adult. Also, I found it pretty funny in this one when April is tracking down the Turtles and figuring out who they are. She comes across this ancient Japanese writing for family.
Last 3 months, and this symbol appeared at every single one. Here, 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 here. And it's an ancient Japanese symbol that means family.
And it's actually just Chinese kanji for main door of the house. There's also this one action scene of the Turtles fighting and sliding down this mountain that I actually did like. It was pretty visually engaging and a lot of fun. The Turtles also do have fairly distinct personalities in this one, even though Raph is really the only one who gets any sort of arc, and it's not like that arc has any effect on him in the next movie. But those are really the only two things I actually like. If you like CGI turtle fights with Orange Crush ad placements every 15 minutes, then you're gonna like this movie.
Place for you to hide, and if you get thirsty, I got a secret stash of Orange Crush behind the fridge.
If you don't really like most Transformers movies, then you're probably not gonna like this either. It's another 3 out of 10 for me. Moving on to number 5. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows is the best bad movie on this list. First off, how are you out of the shadows? Like I said, the Turtles are still very much in the shadows. The fucking cops learn who they are by the end of the movie, but somehow with the entire NYPD knowing who they are, they're still a secret. The movie opens with what I can only describe as a shittier version of the Dark Knight's chase scene. Shredder's goons are trying to break him out of prison while the Turtles try to stop them. And I was watching this with someone who went to the bathroom during this scene, and when they came back and asked what happened, I had to explain, so Shredder got teleported during the chase by a giant alien meatball, who then sends him on a quest to gather these MacGuffins so he can build this fucking Lego Death Star thing, and then him and the meatball are gonna take over the world together. Their exact response, what the fuck? And Shredder never questions this. He's a regular human from Earth, and he doesn't freak out by the abduction of the meatball monstrosity, nor does he ever question this evil alien's intentions. It is also very obvious sometimes how little fucks these people care about actually making a good movie. Like Shredder was a scarred up, scary guy in the last movie, and with the recast, they didn't even try making this dude look like the previous version. The director was probably like, nah, fuck that, them kids aren't gonna notice, just put another Orange Crush in their face. My main problems from the first movie are still here. I still hate how the Turtles look, and somehow their masks look like they're made with Microsoft Paint, but I'll give this one a tiny bit of credit. Leo and Raph actually do get something resembling a real story and character arcs. And there's this mildly interesting subplot about the ooze potentially turning them human, and they argue over whether that's right or not, and sure, I'll buy that for $1. Something that's been more prevalent as I watch each of these movies is Raph and Leo always get some sort of characterization. Mikey deals with issues every once in a while of wanting to see the outside world or be a part of it, but Donatello never has a fucking arc. In like any movie, he's never explored outside of being the smart one. Give my man Donnie his day. Give him a movie that actually explores him as a character, instead of just making him the smart guy that mixes different goos and uses a calculator. That's the end of that rant. Back to the movie. The plot is definitely more interesting than the last one, and my favorite performance is probably Tyler Perry being a mustache-twirling, evil scientist guy. No one is that well written or compelling in this movie, but you can tell at least he's having a lot of fun. The last thing I'll say about this one in particular is the ending is pretty funny in a bad way. I was pretty upset they brought back Shredder to be the main villain in this one. Kind of like with the second 90s movie, I don't want a repeat villain. But that's okay, because the evil meatball betrays him and turns him into a Shredder sickle. And when the alien death machine activates, it starts assembling a literal Lego Death Star over New York City. And I will say the most unrealistic part of this movie is I built one of those before, and no matter how many tentacles you have, you could never put it together that fast. This movie is funny in a lot of unintentional ways, and when I say some of the characters have arcs, it is the most simplistic, bare bones way possible. But hey, give props where it's due. Watch this if you're bored on an airplane. 3.5 out of 10. Let's get on to number 4. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze is the most mid-turtle movie. And that's not to say it's bad, it's just a worse version of the original. This one leans way harder into being a kid's movie. Right from the start, the Turtles are beating up goons in a toy store, cracking jokes the whole time. None of the fights have any stakes because the Turtles never take anything seriously. Mikey's using a yo-yo for a weapon, Donatello's doing whatever the fuck this is. And apparently there was a lot of pressure to tone down the violence in this movie, so the Turtles barely use their weapons, and when they do, it's for slapstick tricks and not actual combat. And look, I said it before, but I'll say it again. Why is Shredder back? This dude got crushed in a garbage truck at the end of the last movie. Crushed into a cube. And yet he's here, fine, alive, running a gang like nothing happened? It's just so lazy. I would have loved a new villain. Something to actually shake up the status quo for the Turtles. Also, Casey Jones is just gone. Completely cut. He was a pretty good character in the first movie. I like Casey as an outsider that fights with the Turtles. And I really like him when he's paired up with Raph, like in the 07 movie. I thought he had pretty decent chemistry with April in the first movie, and his absence was definitely noticeable in this one.
You guys mind telling me what you're doing with my little green pal over there?
April's still here, but she's been recast, and not for the better. This new April feels like she tolerates the Turtles more than she actually likes them. In the first movie, April was fascinated by them. She was in on the fun. Here, she just seems irritated. And I can't really blame her, even she might be getting tired of the endless bad jokes. There are some things I did enjoy in this one. The puppeteering is still fucking spot on. Same as the original. I think these costumes hold up relatively well today. Jim Henson and his crew did a great job with the features and how expressive every character looks. Also, Donatello, even though he doesn't really get an arc, he does get a chance in this one to show off his unique skill helping the science dude come up with an ooze cure or something. In the first movie, Donatello had no distinguishable personality traits, so it was cool to see them rectify that here. That said, this movie is and does feel really short. In the final battle, it's basically a Vanilla Ice concert. No, really, like half the climax takes place on stage while Vanilla Ice performs ninja rap, and you can't make that up. Secret of the Ooze never takes itself that seriously, and it has no real stakes. But it's not offensively bad either. It's watchable, it's fine. 4.5 out of 10. Alright, now we get to finally talk about some good movies. Number 3. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990 is a good movie. When this came out, there were like 2 actually good superhero films in existence. Tim Burton's Batman and that 1970 Superman. That's it. So imagine going from 2 white dudes in capes from the most easily recognizable comics ever to 4 turtles with anger issues that are entirely brought to life with animatronics. And then trying to convince a studio that that wasn't a career-ending decision, but it works. This movie is easily the best film of the original trilogy. For not having the full MCU and DC filmography of the last 20 years to go off of, this movie does a really good job of introducing a team of superheroes and then getting us invested in them and their story. A big reason, and I've already talked about it, is the animatronics. These characters never feel limited by their design, they're expressive, they move naturally, and they still look surprisingly a little bit real. Most 90 kids today probably remember watching this thing and being completely mesmerized. Shredder also looks really menacing, decked out in a samurai costume, covered in knives, which is a little bit funny considering his henchmen all look like bugs wearing bandanas.
I'll be crying if I look like that too, bro. I up what they be doing to y'all.
This movie is also quite darker than the sequel, and I mean Splinter spends half this movie being tied up and tortured, so yeah, it's a little bleaker. The Turtles also have a little more sense of urgency. It's definitely still goofy and campy. I mean, they take a fucking football huddle in the middle of fighting Shredder to come up with a plan to beat him. But the jokes and ha-has are still far more limited, and when they actually need to give a fuck or show emotion, that is also present. It's also the best shot of the 90s films. Every frame feels thought out. The action is clean and weighty, the Turtles actually use their weapons, and you feel the impact of the hits. Plus, the music during the fight scenes adds great energy without feeling cheesy. I think this movie utilizes music way better than most early superhero movies.
Attack!
Splinter is also handled really well too. His line to the little ginger kid is one of the most heartfelt in the movie.
All fathers care for their sons.
I'm not usually a fan of him getting into physical fights either, but when he uses Shredder's own momentum and arrogance against him, that is a very cool payoff. And the final line he drops, straight up gangster.
Much worse comes for you, for when you die, it will be without honor.
There isn't that much to complain about here. This movie helped pioneer the superhero genre. Everything in it was new territory at the time, and stuff we totally take for granted now. Yes, it was still a little bit goofy and campy and kidified, which I complained about in other movies, especially compared to the original source material, but for what it's worth, it still holds up really, really well today. 7 out of 10, definitely watch it if you haven't already. And moving into our runner-up spot, TMNT from 2007 was the biggest surprise for me when I decided to watch all these movies. Oh my god, this one was solid from start to finish. This story takes place with some older, more experienced turtles. In this movie, the turtles have already beaten Shredder. Leo got sent away to learn to be a better leader, and the rest of the brothers are just stuck at home trying to figure out how to cope without him. This is definitely the most mature movie out of all the ones out there. There are still jokes for sure, but it's really only Mikey being the funny one. The others are a little more jaded and they act like they've seen some shit, and at this point in their lives they have. There's an actual villain, but I would say the core conflict is that of Leo and Raph trying to pick up the relationship after Leo gets back. And that's really enough by itself. Leo and Raph are great together in this movie. Their tension feels earned, their frustration believable. This is really the first good arc these characters have gotten that's not just them trying to figure out how to beat up a bad guy. This is much more of a family drama than it is a superhero movie, and I love that. The side characters of April, Casey, and Splinter are all decent enough. I would say Casey is the best of the three, and my biggest gripe with this movie is that he's actually dealing with some shit. He has this really heartfelt conversation with Raph on the top of this building where he opens up about his fear of settling down.
Thing about settling down that makes me miss the old times. I don't know if I can be the grown-up she needs me to be.
And I would have loved to see it get resolved in some satisfying way, but it never does. Yeah, him and April fight together at the end of the movie, but I wouldn't say that really allowed Casey to grow. The voice acting in this movie is really good. The main Turtles actors do an incredible job. There's also some hidden A-listers, with Casey being played by that Johnny Storm dude from Deadpool 3, and the main villain being played by that dude that looks and sounds like Professor X on American Dad. I won't spoil any of the main villain stuff in this video, just in case you guys haven't watched it, but I will say the twists and turns the ending takes, I thought were done really well. And Leo and Raph's fight towards the back half of the movie is the best part in story and in looks. I don't know what kind of computer magic it took to animate that fight in the rain so well, but damn, it looks good, and I'm a fan. This is really the only movie in the entire series that left me wanting more. A longer movie. I wish this thing had an extra 10 minutes of exploring Casey's dynamics with April, or just a longer epilogue to breathe with these characters for a bit more time. I love this thing. I will probably watch it again after I finish this video. 8 out of 10. Now it's time to crown our king. Mutant Mayhem is the undisputed best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. If you disagree, you need to take a hard, long look in the mirror. This movie has the tightest writing, the best humor, the most relatable characters, and it looks amazing. First off, the animation. I love this new wave of stylized animation we're getting lately. The hand-drawn, sketchy look mixed with the comic book energy fits the Turtles perfectly. It's rough around the edges in all the right ways. And the best part? None of the stylistic choices sacrifice the action. The camera work, which, I mean, there isn't a camera because it's animation, but the camera work during the fight scenes is better than any of the live-action movies. The camera moves with the chaos, weaving through hits, flips, and debris. It keeps things dynamic and fresh. The fight montage in the middle of the movie is perfect. Incredible sequence, perfect song choice, great editing. Genuinely my favorite moment in the entire TMNT franchise. And everyone said it already, but it's worth repeating. It is so refreshing to hear the Turtles actually sound like teenagers. They're goofy, awkward, and full of chaotic energy, but it feels real. This is some of the best kid-teen voice acting I've heard in years. Each of the four is unique, funny, and lovable, and you feel for them. You understand their struggle to be accepted, and how that drives every choice they make. As far as side characters go, I thought this was the most natural inclusion of April into the story. She wants the same acceptance the Turtles want, so her teaming up with them felt the most natural out of any of the movies. And the rest of the voice cast, top notch. Ice Cube is phenomenal as Superfly. He's menacing, but charismatic as hell. That mix of charm and danger really makes him pop.
Yo! What? What the? Y'all some little tortoises, huh?
I know they teased Shredder in the post-credits scene, but I'm so glad we got this villain first. Jackie Chan also kills it as Splinter. You hear the love in every line. It's warm, funny, and sincere. I also like that the Turtles call him Dad. It's such a small change, but it fits this version of them perfectly.
Ratted us out.
Hey, don't use that word that way.
Sorry, Dad.
My only gripe with this movie, at all, is that I wish Superfly didn't turn into a giant Godzilla monster at the end. I liked it when Ice Cube was able to show that menacing charisma, and I thought that was a more formidable threat to the Turtles than just a raging Pokemon in New York. It's not that big of a deal, and it doesn't affect that movie all that much for me. This movie's great. I hope the next story with the Turtles takes it even farther. This one is an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really good movie. Now, for the first time since my Hellboy video, I get to add some movies to my ultimate superhero tier list. TMNT 3 and the 2 Michael Bay movies are both getting stacked on the bad movie hurt my heart line. I'd probably rather watch Out of the Shadows over Rise of the Silver Surfer, so I'm going to place that in front and the other two behind. The remaining 90s movies are going to go on the average superhero movie tier. They are fine. The original is much better than the sequel in my opinion, but I think as you compare these to all superhero movies over all time, they land just about average. And finally, Mutant Mayhem and 2007 TMNT are going in the really good, but not great. I'm going to place them right above Hellboy 2, and if you're wondering why either of these isn't in the great tier, this thing's a bell curve. There are some truly amazing superhero movies over all time, and I just don't think they crack the great tier. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I plan on making a top 5 Clone Wars arc list next, so stick around for that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.